I got me some nice, it's supposed to be Chinese music. I'm trying to get into the spirit of the Chinese people as I learn the history. Now, how did we get here? Well, we got here because I was studying Arabia in the Middle East. And when you study Arabia in the Middle East, you learn about the history of trade going from East Africa um, all the way to China. You know, you see the Muslim contact with the African, and that that combination and that contact with the people from the Far East. And I brought up some old manuscripts that talked about it, that showed what the vessels or whatever you want to call them would look like at the time. And they were transporting like not ceramics, but like we would call it like kitchenware. I forget the exact technical name for it right now. And how one transport didn't make it all the way to its destination. And I can't recall the name off the top of my head right now, but it's in another stream that I did. So I want to go into the four great inventions of China. I can remember, I know one of them's the compass, printmaking. There's two more. So here we go. Four great inventions of China. Many of the greatest inventions in human history were first made in China. By the 13th century, China was an innovative and exciting place to live. Travelers from Europe discovered things there that were beyond imagination in Europe. When the explorer Marco Polo arrived in China, he encountered a country vastly different from his home of Venice. So I'm gonna move over to the side right here. And you know where this is gonna lead us to, man? This is gonna lead us to the Black history in China. Because a nigga always gotta take it there, right? I remember I was probably like 15. I went into like a Chinese restaurant and I seen they had like a little black Chinaman figurine. I'm like, who is that? She's like, it's such and such. I'm like, who? So now I'm gonna have to do some research and figure out who that was. But she told me who it was. I think it's like Kang something. Kang something or something like that. You know what I mean? All right, so Kai Lun, AD. Okay, so he lived in the year 57 AD to 121 AD. So he was about 43 plus 21, 64 years old. Was a Chinese courtier official. He is believed to be the inventor of paper. Okay, we got paper, we got the compass, gunpowder is another one, and there's one more. I almost want to say it's the printer. If paper and the paper making process, sorry, he is believed to be the inventor of paper and the paper making process, discovering techniques that created paper as we would recognize it today. Very important, very, very important invention. You got to put some respect on the Chinese people's name. Respect to them. In his book, The Travels of Marco Polo, Polo describes cities with broad, straight, and clean streets. Very different from his home in Venice, where even the poorest people could wash in great bathhouses at least 3 times a week. Again, very different from hygiene in Europe. China celebrates four particular innovations as the four great inventions. They were even featured as a part of the opening ceremony for the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. Wow. Yeah, that was a big Olympic Games. That '08 team right there. Yeah. I think they called it like the Redeem team or something like that. 2008. So you still got young LeBron. Maybe Melo. Wade's definitely on that team. I wonder if all three of them was on that team. Probably Kobe. Um, maybe Duncan. No, Duncan was '04. So I got to go back and look at that '08 team. So what were these four great inventions? Writing it all down. Paper. The first of the great inventions was something we all use almost every day. Paper. Many different materials had been used for writing things down, like bamboo, wood, both hard to store and write on, or silk and cloth, much more expensive. Types of paper have been found in archaeological records dating back thousands of years, but it was very difficult to make. It wasn't until AD, dang, I don't like how this thing writes the date. It wasn't until 105 AD that a quick and easy way of making paper was invented. Okay, 105 AD. So on the other side, you got Rome dominating, still in North Africa. Um, I'm not sure if they made their way up to the British Isles yet, in Ireland yet by this time, but maybe they're there until like, damn. See, I gotta be able to cross-reference the history on a timeline. This is why I got to get back into my European history, medieval European history, late antiquity, or all these different time periods and different places around the world. Mostly I like to stick into, like, they call it medieval, so from about the year 400 to late 1500s. Okay, so the first of the great inventions was something, okay, I read that. All right. The inventor of this new technique was a man called Kai Lun, who lived from 57 to 121 AD. He was an official at the emperor's court and an advisor to several emperors. Kai invented a new way of creating the pulp that forms paper. He took materials like bamboo, mulberry tree bark, plant waste, and rags. These were mixed together, beaten, then mixed with water, and then poured over a flat woven cloth to let the water drain out. I might have to find a video on the paper making process. Paper making process. How to make paper from bamboo right here. All right. So he done trimmed it down, shaved it down, soaking it. So it done soaked for at least some hours, I'm guessing. All right, it's dried now. Look a little stiff. So now it's being, dang, it almost looked like a yarn for a second. Okay, now it turned almost into like a dustish, grainy type of. This is crazy. Then, okay, he's putting it in a cloth and then in the water. Okay, now it's like a clay almost. Back into the water. Wow, isn't it just gonna disappear? What's this green stuff? So you're mixing it up. Okay, now he's getting a layer of that mixture. What? What was that green stuff? Yo, that green stuff, like, whatever that was. Oh, that was wild, bro. That's tough. That's tough. Yeah, that's tough. Wow. Alright, video's almost done. This is crazy, though. Very delicate. Now I gotta dry in the sun. Damn. This is crazy. We don't even think about stuff like this. Like, yo, how was it made? Came from nature. Alright, so that was good right there. We're gonna go back to the article. That was very interesting, man. Very interesting. This is why it's important to not be biased, celebrate different cultures, learn about them, learn what they contributed, and you have a different viewpoint on them. A lot of our perspectives is out of ignorance. So that's just one. That's just one. All right, the inventor of this new technique was a man called Kai Lun. He was an official at the emperor's court and an advisor to several emperors. Kai invented a new way of creating the pulp that forms paper. He took materials like bamboo, mulberry tree bark, plant waste, and rags. These were mixed together, beaten, then mixed with water, and then poured over a flat woven cloth to let the water drain out. When the mixture dried out, only the fibers remained, forming a lightweight paper. This was a cheap, easy method of creating large amounts of paper. This drawing shows the process of creating paper from mixing the materials to form a pulp to forming the pulp into sheets of paper using frames. So that's the process right there. Yeah, yeah. That's basically what we just watched. It's interesting. Okay. Kai was inspired by watching how wasps make their nests. The invention helped make Kai one of the most powerful people at court. Look at this. This is crazy. You've seen the genius of other life forms, life beings, and use that as inspiration for his invention. That's genius because we could all learn from each other, man. We could all learn from each other. Over 500 years later, Kai Lun was named as the national god of paper making. Okay, he's the god of paper making. That makes sense. Kai Lun is also the only name that history has recorded in connection with any of the four great inventions. As well as being the main way of keeping records in China, paper was also used for a range of purposes from tea bags, toilet paper, packing, and by the 11th century as money. So, you know what? I don't even want to overshine how great that invention is. So I'm gonna cut this stream short. Shouts out to Kai Lung. Shouts out to the Chinese people. Shouts out to the paper makers. A lot of stuff to this day is still made in China. And shouts out to the wasp that made the nest that inspired Kai Lung. You know, we could learn from a lot of things, including nature. So that was very interesting. That was cool. Keep this one short. I'll be back for part two, part three, and part four. Peace.